nakatawan, mapayapang isipan. Go palakas, malinis na paligid, mabuting kalooban. Go palakas, hangad na maglingkod sa kapwa't kaibigan. Go palakas, alagaan natin si inang kalikasan. Halika na totoo sa kalikasan at kapwa-tao. Isa buhay natin ito. Go palakas, go palakas. Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan. Go palakas.
A blessed morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Hello,
Good morning.
everyone.
We had a downpour last night.
Yes,
So
Yes.
refreshing.
Russia.
So ang ganda ng
Mhm.
panahon
We
ngayon.
took a break from the hot summer, and I believe the summer is about to begin now. Magbabago na raw yung yung length ng gabi. Iikli na raw.
Oh, I
So
see.
that means
Longer
summer is going to be
days.
on our way now. So anyway, sa mga early birds here, good morning to all of you. And Rina May Kalini Rilova, she made sure she was first
And
this morning.
Har.
Our heart too. Naghahabulan yung tatlong yun eh.
Oh, meron, sabi ni Har nga, mapapasaya na naman po kami sa sarap ng mga mensahe nyo sa amin.
Okay,
Oh,
so
thank you.
to start with, we continue on our topic of last week for forgiveness and be forgiven. One has to understand that we are by nature amongst all the millions of living beings in the world, right? Dami.
Mm-mm.
As human beings, we are held responsible for our actions.
Oh, yes. Oo. May
Di ba?
accountability tayo
Yes.
sa ginagawa natin.
Actions natin,
Yes.
di ba?
Oo.
In the Bible, teaches us, as you sow, so shall you reap.
Meron yan.
Or in ancient scripture, it teaches us, for every action you perform, there is a corresponding reaction.
Okay.
Now,
Karma, no? Karma.
yan yung karma, laws of karma. Now, what determines the type of actions you perform is guided by what? Di ba? May ganyan yan eh.
Mm-mm.
Many times, as in our society, from the very start, hindi ba, in our upbringing at home, our parents are teaching us how to make it so that we are held accountable for activities we do, even as a child.
Mm-mm.
Is that correct?
Oh,
Di ba?
yan.
Pag meron tayong maling ginawa, kahit bata tayo, napapagalitan tayo.
Mm-mm.
Di ba?
Mm-mm.
And our parents will make it so that
Napapangaralan. Mm-mm.
we understand why
Mm-mm.
that such actions is unacceptable. As children, we sometimes simply we can get away with many things. Mas lalo ko
Easily
yung lola
forgiven.
yung lola
Forgiven
yung
yan.
yung lola yung magpo-forgive. Kahit na maraming kasalanan, okay lang.
Can get away with
Sasabihin nga,
murder. No?
bata pa yan.
Oo,
Pasensya
marami
na
ka.
lang tayo.
Lalo na, napaka-cute niya, di ba?
Okay, so so many times, even as a young child, depending on how your parents would guide you, and make you feel responsible for actions you perform, or to educate you and guide you to, okay, ito yung tama, ito yung hindi tama.
Oo.
Ang basihan nito, ang basihan ng what is a correct action is always, siyempre, we all learn this and it's handed down, isn't it?
Mm-mm.
Di ba? Kung ikaw anak, marami kang natutunan sa sarili mong magulang. di ba?
Yes.
Sa mga relatives, ang dami.
Daming rule. May house rules din, no? Iba pa
Right,
sa
may
house
mga-
rules, iba sa
diba?
school.
There's school, there's
Oo.
always rules and regulations in society.
The laws of the
The
land.
laws of the land, yeah, that is created just so that people can live harmoniously.
Mm.
That is one of the main focal reason as to why, as human beings, we have to learn to be reasonable and be mindful of our actions. Because if we are not held responsible for what we do, and many times, dito tayo nakakaroon ng problema. Let's say if I perform something and it doesn't involve anybody except myself, immediately the action I perform, I'm the only one who's going to suffer the consequence or the benefit of the consequence of my action. But if my actions involves others or affects other people,
Oh, mas malala na yan.
this is where the change. This is where the ano, kumbaga ano, yung dynamics changes immediately.
Oo.
Kasi habang tumatanda tayo, yung epekto ng ating actions lumalawak.
Yes.
Di ba?
Yes, because our
Because our world grows as
and
well.
our
Our influence
our
grows
influence,
also.
our because what we tend to do is to increase our capacity to do things.
Yes.
Di ba? That's something that
Which
was
includes harm as well, no?
yeah, that's
kung hindi
something that
maingat.
has been embedded in our hearts and mind as young individuals. Our parents capacitate us to be able to function in our society. Right? Now, point we're getting at, if you want to go direct to it, is that means when we're engaged in activities and we are held responsible, many times people tend not to understand this fact. Many times they say, oh, totoo ba yung karma na yan? Totoo ba na maging responsible ako? Sinasabi na nga ng Skriptura eh. Tsaka nakikita na natin sa mga ehemplo sa ating bayan, pag hindi ka sumunod sa batas, huhulihin ka. Pag ikaw ay nahuli, ikukulong ka. Di ba? Kasi may corresponding impact yung ginawa mo. Eh. So it only means that as social beings too, human, we interact with one another. Correct?
Yes.
We live in a community, we live in a family, we live in a town, we live in a country, and we are expected to act in a more reasonable and responsible way.
Without hurting others.
Others.
Yeah, without endangering everyone. Like
Right.
now, kailangan pa rin mag-mask, kailangan pa rin
Yes.
shield.
Yeah, so when you are engaged in actions, especially mindful actions, it is so important to understand that actions I perform that affects other people, and this is constantly every day of our life. There's always somebody that you're dealing with or that is being affected by your action. What if it affects somebody else na, negatively? So that means matuto ka dapat maging humingi ng paumanhin. To ask for forgiveness.
Oo.
Ask, say sorry. Di ba? To
Kasi
be,
magkakamali
oh,
tayo
you see,
eh.
the world we live in, this is something that we have to accept the fact that we are not in a perfect situation. We are prone to forget
Mistakes,
things.
oo.
Di ba? We can be forgetful eh. Kahit nakabataan, we can be forgetful eh.
Oo. Lalo
Then,
na sa homework, I forgot.
then we can be,
Or sa utang, I forgot also.
yeah.
Ay, naku.
Alam mo, may isa pang trait dyan eh. Malimutin. Ano pa? We're prone to make mistakes. Ano pa? And we're not perfect.
And we're prone to cheat ourselves.
Yeah.
Parang denial ba?
Exactly.
Hindi ko kasalanan yan. Kasalanan nung kaibigan ko.
So,
Always pointing to somebody else.
Oo.
Kasalanan ng
Siya
magulang
kasi.
ko. Oo, siya kasi.
kaya ito, namingiti si Keisha siya kasi yung aming tech person, tatawa-tawa sila. Kasi the tendency, pag may nagkamali sa ganito, magtuturuan sila kagad, di ba?
turuan. Yes.
Now,
So you cannot-
the question would be,
You cannot apologize
Yeah,
if you do not recognize or accept that you are at fault.
fault.
Tanggapin
See?
nila.
So you cannot ask for forgiveness.
Yes.
Many times, this is sometimes a difficult thing to do, is to ask for forgiveness for mistakes I have done towards somebody else.
Always hard to ask forgiveness,
Oh.
diba? Kasi yung iyong humility, doon tayo nakukulang.
Sometimes you can see it in children. Alam mo, pag pinapangaralan niyo yung mga bata.
Oo, yung
Some
kinuwento
of
niya
them,
last week,
masyadong
no?
hirap umingi ng paumanhin. Talagang,
Kahit naman matanda, hirap,
Yeah.
lalo na bata.
Or
so that's-
especially minsan pag nasa position of authority yung
Yes.
tao,
Mm.
na parang, like in our country, I just noticed that most politicians will, in Japan, for example, they will accept responsibility
Oh,
for a
yes.
problem and resign.
Yes.
Resign.
No.
Oo.
Dito,
Nako.
hindi magre-resign. Hang on to the power and
And
deny.
it's not my fault.
Deny.
Diba?
Oo.
Laging not my fault.
So you see those countries you will find from the very time they're young. That's why the
Upbringing
gestures
talaga, no?
of bowing,
Mm.
di ba, in other countries offering
Respectful.
the respectfulness.
Oo.
Sa atin may ganun din tayo. Tayo nagmamano eh.
Oo.
May ganun din
Pero
tayo eh.
marami nang nakakalimot kasi.
Yes, this practice is not so much emphasized because
Mhm.
simply because when you put yourself in such yung value or the virtue of being humble or the values of humbleness, the traits of humbleness, you will find such person would always be the trait of such a person is he offers respects as he's to everyone. Di ba? Because he recognizes something that's more than just seeing the individual, but seeing a broader perspective as far as, his vision of people is concerned.
And if we notice that people who are respectful and humble, they're also sensitive to what others are going through.
Yes.
Yes.
Kumbaga, kung meron kang sinabing salita, parang,
Oops.
mukhang nasaktan yung tao.
Or
di ba?
you're sensitive to it right away.
Gets mo
You
agad.
pick
Parang
up
you
on,
pick up on it, right?
Oo.
Or because you're sensitive to start with
No.
and you are responsible, the tendency is
Nag-iingat ka
nag-iingat
na.
ka.
Mm-mm,
You be
yes.
careful.
Oo.
But it's not like you're trying to make it so that you don't make mistakes. No matter how careful you are, you will still make mistake because
Tendency
that's our
natin.
tendency.
Oo.
That's a tendency that we have. Now, even if you're in a position of authority, this is what separates a true servant leader to pseudo leaders. Yung mga leader na kukunwari. It is something that a trait that is so, alam nyo, may isa tayong, out of all the presidents we had in this country, may isa lang na presidente na naaalala ng tao, yung, uy, makatao talaga to, humble.
Yes.
Siya ay makamasa, di ba?
Did we celebrate his birthday
Oh.
just a few days ago?
Yan.
Naalala.
May presidente tayong ganyan, si Ramon Magsaysay. Doon siya nakilala eh.
Doon ka pinangalanan. Diba? His name after.
Kasi yung nag-crash yung aeroplano niya, pinanganak ako eh. Ganun yung
March
ganun.
17.
Same.
So,
Okay.
alam nyo, kapag nakikita niyo yung mga traits again, or even in today's society, pag makita niyo yung isang liderato na may servant heart, yung spirit of service is there. Yung aura nito, yung dating nito, you can see so many things changes to this, so many features of this person is immediately felt. He comes to a room, his presence is felt. Right?
Na-appreciate siya
Na-appreciate
ng
siya ng
tao.
tao.
Oo.
Okay? So, that's why when it is important for us from the very start to understand or to embrace humility. Because no matter what, we will make mistakes. And then if we are ready to ask for forgiveness, being humble person puts you in that spot immediately. Uy, nagkamali ako. Uy, sorry ha.
Ayun. Oo, sana ganun, no?
Or,
Kasimple.
Simple lang. Simple
Oo.
mag-isip. Actually, when you speak
Agad-agad
you speak on
mag-sorry.
humbleness, or a person who is humble, you will find this trait that you'll see this person is so easy to deal with. Very simple then. Yun ang qualities
Yes.
na may simplicity kasi siya sa kanyang perception. But yet, broad yung pananaw niya. Don't be thinking that because simple lang yung mag-isip yung tao doesn't mean he, very limited yung capacity niya to see things. No. That's why virtues or qualities like this that are qualities of goodness or qualities of purity, a person who's in pursuit of this in his life, right? Or being guided by such wisdom, yung buhay niya, may simplicity siya. Kasi it is kumbaga na yung strength niya, yung foundation niya is very strong.
Pero sinabi na nga ng isang person na forgiveness is a quality of the brave. You know?
Yeah.
Kasi ano yun it requires nga nasabi mo humility, no, to ask forgiveness, and you need strength nga, sinasabi niya
Yes.
meron ka. So
And some
actually, it's
courage, yeah,
courage.
to
oo.
know that siguro baka ako, yung parang nagsasapalaran siya na
Oo.
ma-forgive naman
Oo.
siya pag humingi siya ng tawad.
So it's a very wonderful, admirable trait, no? Very nice. Oo.
Okay, let's greet our listeners. Adelita Dasi,
From
Satori from Cebu. Yeah,
Yes.
Cebu.
Maayong
Tama?
Cynthia
buntag.
Sylvester, good morning.
Good morning, Madana Mohana. Yeah.
Sabi niya,
No problem.
usually, na-miss raw niya yung program due to chores, no? Abuti na nakasama ngayon. Okay? And from Mainigo Tribe, good morning, Gopalakas.
Good
And
morning.
Elvina Pascua, good morning.
O daming haba ng listahan.
Oo.
Dixie Palmos, yes.
Iris.
And Angel Gonzalo
Mhm.
from Cavite.
And Virgilio Enriquez.
Oh, from
Enriquez.
Hey,
watching
from
from
Zambales,
Zambales.
good morning.
Good
Oh, good
morning,
morning, good
Ver.
morning. Huh?
Virgilio. And Paul Dison. Meron siyang message talaga. Good day po. Ask ko lang po hanggang saan po ba kailangan ang pagpapatawad at ano po ang tama at reasonable na pagpapatawad. Paano po madidevelop ang paraan para makita kung talagang sincere ang isang taong humingi ng kapatawaran. Okay, nice question. Okay, yung question niya dyan, ayan na nga yung ano natin, yung how to really ask for forgiveness. Okay, sasabihin natin, sige, forgiveness is a good quality.
Oo.
Paano naman, hindi ba? Paano natin
What is-
gagawin?
There's a process to it.
Yeah.
Diba? It's not just an academic thing, but it's a way of a person's life, actually,
Oo.
and what he values.
So like you said, first of all is accept accountability.
Yes.
Accept
Actions.
responsibility.
Right.
Yes.
Oo.
And then ask forgiveness as soon as possible. Huwag niyo nang patagalin.
Oo.
Yes, because if there are actions that made it so others are affected by it, for example, and you are irresponsible to it, right? Kunyari, ikaw yung
For it,
person
oo.
for it, you're the person responsible for it. Ikaw yung nag-cause ng difficulty o ng problema. You know what happens is if you let it slide, yung wag yung gampanan at bigyan ng pansin,
Oo.
mas bumibigat yung issue.
O, tsaka titigas ang puso mo.
Saka ikaw, masasanay ka na gano'n. So, hindi ka nagiging insensitive ka ngayon sa maraming bagay pagdating sa ganyan.
Oo.
So, yung pasensya would always be there. But siyempre, we always have to go back to reasoning.
Can I
A
tell a
person-
story? I have a story. Kasi di ba, pag humihingi tayo ng tawad or magpapatawad, ang pinakamahirap patawarin yung grabe yung ginawa di ba?
Oo.
Yung malala, ano? So, may kwento ako kasi merong nangyari, let's call her Mrs. Hannah, no?
Oo.
Meron siyang kaisa-isang anak na babae na ni-rape na pinatay pa. No, nahuli naman yung gumawa, pero syempre nakulong na siya, no. Si Mrs. Hannah ngayon sobrang galit niya, natural, no. At saka parang kinukonsumo siya ng galit niya, no. Wala siyang maisip kung hindi 'yon. Kahit sa dasal niya, sana yung taong na 'yon mas nahihirapan kaysa sa akin. Ganoon, no. So, yung hate kasi ganyan it seeps through your very being and affects your relationships, it affects the way you deal with everyone, pati health mo, no? So, matagal niyang hawak yung galit na yan. Isang araw may nagpunta sa bahay niya. Alam mo yung mga nagbibigay ng mga Bible?
Yes.
No.
Oo.
Sabi
Door to
sa kanya,
door.
nagdo-door to door.
Oo.
Sabi sa kanya, Mrs. Hannah, ano kaya, sulatan niyo kaya itong Bible na to, bibigay ko doon sa pumatay sa anak niyo. Niya, ano? No way, sabi niya. Galit na galit siya, no? Pinulayas niya yung tao. Tapos ilang araw niya iniisip, ilang buwan. Tapos isang araw na, sabi niya, teka, parang in prison na ako ng galit na to
Yes.
Kasi nagkakasakit siya, di siya makatulog.
She
Talagang
felt bad.
Yeah,
Oo,
she
talagang
felt bad. Oo. So,
Oo.
nagdasal siya talaga kay Lord. Lord, ano bang gagawin ko? Kasi parang nakikita ko parang the hate is consuming me already. Hanggang naisip niya, sige na nga, gagawin ko yung sinabi ng tao na yun. Hinanap niya ngayon, tinatawag niya. Tapos, Sabi niya, sige, gagawin ko na nga, no? So, may sinulat na siya doon sa Bible, binigay niya. Tuwan-tuwa naman yung tao may Bible. Dinala ngayon doon sa murderer, no?
Sa prison. Oo.
Pagbukas ng tao ng Bible, nandoon yung sinulat ni Mrs. Hannah. Sabi niya, Mrs. Hannah loves you. Sabi niya. Alam mo yung tao, nag-breakdown siya. Kasi, ano pala siya? Orphan siya. Lumaki siya, walang magulang. Never siyang nakarinig ng nagsabi sa kanya, mahal kita. Kaya pala naging ganun siya.
Oo.
So, sobra siyang na-touch sa nangyari na yun. So, alam mo, nag-train siya to become a minister sa preso. No? And so, feeling niya parang nagbago talaga yung buhay niya. And then actually si Mrs. Hannah rin, let's go back to her. When she was able to forgive this guy, parang namatay daw yung old Mrs. Hannah and the new Mrs. Hannah was born na nagbukas na ulit yung puso niya, na-relieve siya lahat ng kanyang mga burden. No? Kaya ito ang importance ng forgiveness. Your forgiveness throws out hate from your heart and allows you to love again, be kind, and be freed from your pain and misery.
Kasi kumbaga, sinabi mo nga parang na-imprison na rin siya nung galit na yon. She was building this wall, no?
Yes.
Sa point na yung nagpipreach nga door to door wanted to help the guy, pero siya naman, ano bakit gagawin niya?
Yeah, hindi niya ma-imagine at that point na kaya niyang ma-forgive.
Pero yung impact dun sa taong yon, just that forgiveness that was given to him, ang laki, di ba, na-motivate mag-change yung taong yun.
And I'm sure he also ended up helping others.
Yes, being a preacher, being a pastor, I'm sure that he touched also other people's lives, especially with this experience of doing something so, sabihin natin, very masama
Horrible,
talaga, evil, no?
Yeah.
Tapos, he was forgiven and now he wants to help other people also.
The life of Jesus was basically this. He was showing such compassion to others.
Till the last moment.
And forgiveness.
Oo.
It is the very one of the very examples of that he's the model that his actions got imprinted on a lot of our minds. Ito yan eh.
Imagine, nandun na siya sa cross. And then, yun
still
pa ang
very
naisipan niya, forgiveness dun sa
Yes.
ibang tao.
So, yung sinasabi, yung tinatanong sa atin, paano ba humingi ng forgiveness? Definitely, recognize it and then take the action to communicate with that person.
And
no?
be sincere.
Be sincere, yung
And-
talagang taos-puso yung
In
paghingi ng-
society naman, there are layers of systems to protect you. But there are also systems or there are situations in the world. We have to be realistic here. Alam nyo, like here in our country, you will find that many of the people, especially those yung mga who are having a difficult time in the poorer sections of our communities, you will find that life is such a struggle for them, right? And for many of them, minsan you can see, criminality taking place in the very community, in the families. There's addiction, there's vices that become so ingrained that life becomes so difficult for many. Kaya anything that takes place, like, how there's a death or may naging problema sa bisyo, you know how it is? It becomes so, because of the difficulty that they're encountering in their lives. Yeah? Kumbaga, nag-snack na lang sila basta.
Yes.
They lose it.
They lose it. So this is something that, that's why from the very start, the purpose of what the Gopalakas show has to give you strength from within. And the strength to live in this world doesn't come from something that is external. It is coming from internal.
Yes.
So if you're guided from within, no matter whether you are in a different place of society, but if you're able to live within your confines, right, and you're guided by it, so it's easier to transcend issues that you're faced with. And when you're in this situation, you're able to be more reasonable, more compassion,
Yes.
more forgiving. Alam mo, nandyan lahat yung traits na yan. And the great saintly person, Jesus Christ, taught us in prayer. We pray. right?
Mm-mm.
Part yan eh, you ask for forgiveness in prayer.
Mm-mm.
Di ba? There's always a constant reminder in our lives. It's not like you just hear about it and that's it. No, it's a constant practice yan eh. You cannot be forgiving if you don't practice it eh.
Oo.
Mm-mm.
At saka yung sinabi mo na you pray also because actually when you hurt other people, there's also somebody who's not very happy and that is the Lord. Diba? The
Yes.
Supreme Lord. So kumbaga yung anak na saktan natin, yung tatay kailangan humingi rin tayong paumanhin,
Right.
hindi ba? So also approaching God and say, I'm so sorry that I hurt these people. It's also part of the process.
This is where prayer and meditation comes
Yeah.
in, because with prayer and meditation, you make this as part of your life on a daily basis. And
Mm-mm.
seeking this shelter,
Mm-mm.
what it does to a person is, alam niyo, in the purity of heart and mind.
Mm-mm.
So when you're confronted or you're faced with certain difficulties that involves others, for example,
Mm-mm.
right? Di ba?
Yes.
And it's so, how do I deal with this?
Mm-mm.
Di ba?
Mm-mm.
But you're always, because you have such the qualities of goodness, right?
Mm-mm.
Or purity is there, even if you're not that pure. But yes, you're guided by it. You will find immediately you tend to avoid troubles or
Yes.
problems, or you don't create problems for others.
Yes.
Okay.
Or the best process is don't even need to ask forgiveness because you didn't create the problem.
Oh yes,
Right.
Diba?
exactly. Na-prevent na.
You
Oo.
prevent.
Okay,
Oo.
let's
Now
say.
Har has something to
Teka,
share.
Lakbay Gulay, good morning.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then Rosalinda
Rosalinda
Lascano
Lascano.
from Okinawa.
And Har says, in Canada, it's a national language. Please, thank you, and always say sorry. And say, be careful. It's automatic here, there, in that
Yes.
country. That's one thing I'm proud of in this country. Thank God.
Yeah, when children are growing up and they're
Culture,
taught these things,
yes.
then it makes it easier for
Mm-mm.
them. Oo. And Myra says, asking for forgiveness is a mindful, humble act that frees you from the past. It's easy to move on and detach after that.
Di ba?
Okay, happy birthday, Toby. Belated happy birthday.
Also from Yuan Perez, happy birthday. And from Katrina, good day. And J Resurrection, good day. It's a great day to hear you again. Same to hear, nice to hear from you too.
Oh yeah, all of you.
Mike also says good morning. And Mila Celeste, another bright and beautiful weekend from the Gopalakas team. Maraming salamat. Ivy Villamor of Greens, a Greenery Kitchen, says good morning. Okay? So, actually, sabi naman ni, may mga proverbs tayo. Sinabi ng, sa Arabian proverb, forgiveness is more satisfying than revenge.
Oh
Okay?
yes.
Mas
Kasi
satisfying.
revenge, naku, ano ba yan?
Pang
Nagkagulo-gulo na.
Oo.
Parang lalong lalala.
Yung mga Africans naman, sabi nila, who forgives wins. O ayan, parang
Yes.
nanalo na tayo sa sa isang magandang game, no? It's a good feeling to actually forgive. And
Ma-relieve ka ng gusto.
and then from Ethiopia, if you offend, ask pardon. If offended, forgive. So two things that
So
you
both,
practice, no?
Oo.
Or you learn how to forgive, and at the same time, you learn how to apologize. They should
Yes,
come
Come
together. Oh.
You know, because this thing is, yun nga, as mentioned earlier, if you have this, magana you tend to, your actions tend to be offensive towards others.
Yun. Sometimes in couples rin, minsan, both are saying things as a husband and wife, do things that parang it comes to
Banggaan.
banggaan.
Oo.
Then, I have heard this, oy, dear, sorry sinabi ko to. Sabihin naman isa, oo, dear, kasi sinabi ko rin to. Sorry din ako. Kumbaga, nagre-recognize sila of what they did, that contributed to the problem. And therefore, it's resolved. Kasi mahirap naman yung, ako lang ang tama, lahat kayo mali.
Yeah.
Di ba?
See, sometimes this is, there are, no matter what, in situations like for example, I was talking to this person recently. He's a very successful person in the society of business. And he was talking about how, he's coming to a point in time of his life because of all the difficulties they have been encountering as a result of the pandemic. At the end of the day, he was talking about simplicity, He's getting to that point, he realized, well, you don't need so much to live and get by. But one thing that he said, that one thing is, sometimes when you are sensitive to many of actions that of, and responsible for other people, the tendency is you tend to ignore. You're just looking at them as people who are working for me.
Oo. Oo.
Salary based lang,
Mm-mm.
di ba?
That's the relationship generally.
Yeah, in
Oo.
general, most.
You work,
But-
I pay.
Di ba? May ganun sila. But he was saying now, with this pandemic,
Mm-mm.
you begin to realize that everybody that has been connected to you is your responsibility.
Oo. At
And
saka
then,
may pamilya mo
yeah.
yun. Oo.
And then, sabi niya, there were times that kung meron siyang hindi nagawa o pagkukulang doon sa kanyang mga employees that he had hired for so long, or he said nga, this was a so difficult thing to do recently simply because you have to let them go because
Yeah.
of the pandemic na
Yes.
nalulugi na yung mga hanap buhay.
Mm-mm.
And just to
Daming
save the
nagsasara.
business.
Oo.
So he was saying, I came to a point where I didn't want to fire anybody.
Mm-mm.
But what I did was to make it so ganito ang gagawin ko. Like, sige, just for 3 days. Kung hindi ka essential sa trabaho, they work 3 days. But the main thing for him was his feeling of responsibility towards others.
Mm-mm.
But yet he was also saying he could not forgive himself if he will just let his people just go.
Mm-mm.
He will not find it within himself na pinabayaan ko lang yung tao.
Mm-mm.
So again, a servant leader quality is like this, that I am bothered by my actions of not being of service to others. And how can I forgive myself? May mga ganun na tao eh.
Oo.
Actually, minsan talaga yun ang
Oo.
pinakamahirap, to forgive yourself.
Oo. Lalo na yung mga
Although we have to get over
mga
certain
leaders
things,
na pag merong mga disgrasya, hindi
Ay,
ba,
naku.
mga
Mm-mm.
tragedies, no,
Yeah.
they feel so involved, they feel so responsible to really help the people.
Good leaders.
Oh, good leaders.
Meron ng leaders dyan.
Okay.
Milyon na yung namatay, wala pa rin.
Kaya nga sabi ni
Oh
Ivy,
my gosh.
I'm sorry, simple yet so difficult to say.
Yeah.
Truly,
Diba?
truly.
Sabi naman ni Paul,
Maraming
TYVM sa kasagutan, minsan po di maiwasan na merong ibang tao na nagtatanong kung makikita rin po ba ang mga sagot sa scripture. Siyempre, meron yun.
Oo
Hindi ba?
naman.
Yung
Yun
ano,
ang ating guide.
Our Father who art in heaven, di ba? Yun,
Mhm. Yes.
forgive them.
Forgive us as we forgive
Forgive
those
The Lord's
who
Prayer is
trespass
basically-
against us. Oo.
The Lord's Prayer is a guiding.
Oo, ando na in a nutshell
Everything
eh.
is in a
Oo.
nutshell. Kompleto na yun eh.
Oo,
Because
oo.
from how do you purify your heart, your mind, how you get protection from
Yes.
all of these things that may be bothersome in our life.
Mhm.
Yeah. that
What your
disturbs-
real food is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
Our
with
daily
that,
bread.
then easily, again, we've been saying about it or discussing about it all morning about, yung forgiving nature ng tao.
Yes.
Mhm,
It
mhm.
comes natural for you.
Yes.
Now, in prayer and meditation, a person's heart,
Mm-mm.
will, kumbaga may purification process yun. So, madali mong mailagay yung sarili mo sa position where you are. There's compassion, there's forgiveness.
Mm-mm.
There's no struggle on that.
So spirituality
Yes,
is very
oo.
important in our
Necessary.
life. Sabi ni Mother Teresa, whatever our religion, we know that if we really want to love, we must first learn to forgive before anything else. Why?
Mismo.
Ngayon, why is it a requirement? Because sinasabi in-explain noon ni Jagad that anger in our hearts separates us from God.
Yes.
It prevents the development of our relationship with God kasi nandun yung anger natin.
Mm-mm.
So pati yung unwillingness, yung ayaw natin mag-forgive, yun din ang magiging barrier for us to attain love.
Mm-mm.
Okay, to experience love. Sabi rin ni Jiva Jimenez, thank you, Go Palakas, and Ananda watching from Zambales. And
Jenna Lai, si Jen.
Jenalyn Lai.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Quezon.
From Sampaloc, Quezon
Yeah.
Province. Magkasama yung buong pamilya nila, si Marvin.
Jen, Kilang, and Nitay.
Hello. Hello to you. And sabi ni Ananda, a real sincere person who is really sorry for the wrong that he'd done would try his very best not to do it again. Ayun,
Oo nga.
important.
Do not do again.
Do not repeat the
Oo.
problem or the hurt that you cause other people. Kasi yung ibang tao, sorry ng sorry.
Mm-mm.
Tapos paulit-ulit.
Yes.
Oo, like in the
Ito yung-
Bible,
ito yung
sabihin, they
sinasabi
return to their
Ni
vomit.
Lakbay Gulay,
diba?
sabi niya,
Uulit.
bakit po sabi nila na it's easier said than done?
Mm-mm.
To say that you have forgiven someone is easy, pero why is it that people doesn't seem to forgive in their heart?
Ayun na nga,
We
kulang
touched
sila.
this a
yung
bit
iba,
earlier.
Yes, oo.
Hindi ba? Kasi,
Kasi
again,
hate hardens your heart.
Mm-mm.
Hindi ka maka-forgive basta.
Madaling
And the-
magsalita eh.
Ah.
Yung ano lang, verbal.
Yes.
Pero yung talagang sabihin mo, yung it goes to the core, yung ramdam mo talaga yung
Oo.
forgiveness. Actually, meron din isang ano dyan attitude na meron din sa Bible yung ano, yung may story na mag-cast ng stone
Yeah.
towards this person na gusto nilang batuhin ng mga ibang tao. Sabi ni Jesus, kung sino sa inyo yung walang kasalanan ang pwedeng mag-cast ng
Ayan, be
stone.
the first to cast
Be the
the stone,
first.
yeah.
So, ang pinaka-attitude dun kasi is, ano naman yung kasalanan ko? Am I qualified to
Oo.
Judge.
condemn these
Yes.
people, no? Kasi kung makikita naman natin, yung arrow of introspection na nakikita natin sarili nating problema, ay naku, mas malala yata yung problema ko dun sa ginawa ng taong yun eh.
Oo. Kaya nga humility is necessary. Kailangan makita mo rin na I'm mad at him kasi imperfect siya. Pero ako, hindi rin naman ako perfect.
Correct.
Di ba?
Yes. There's that acceptance of our own imperfections,
Yes,
hindi
oo.
ba? Kaya nga, mas mahirap magsalita ng about other people pag alam naman natin, ang dami rin naman pala nating problema. So basically, sinasabi rin ni Mother Teresa that, for us to experience real love for God and real love for others, we must be able to forgive. And that forgiveness requires to see our own imperfections and to be humble about our own situation. So may humility rin tayo.
Yeah, just as when we sometimes great leaders are leaders who are, first to offer respect.
Mm-mm.
You know that trait?
Oo.
Mga servant leaders, they're so respectful to others immediately.
Yes.
And then when a person is this way, respect will easily come his way because that very quality is there. And being respectful means also it's another quality of being forgiving. Kabit din yun eh. It's not like you can separate both.
Oo.
From another. So again, it's a position of learning to be responsible for the actions and my words.
Yes.
May ganyan niya.
Meron din sinabi si Princess Diana, when you are happy, you can forgive a great deal. Hindi ba? Pag masaya-masaya ka, tapos may sabi nung mga tao, "Uy, sorry ha." Ay, okay lang. Parang hindi mo maramdaman na, na-offend ka or masama yung loob mo kasi masaya-masaya ka eh. So parang, no problem, no worries yan, okay lang, ganon.
Okay, good morning, Miguel from Dolompinas in
Watching.
San Fernando.
Oo. Okay. Thank you. And also, my greetings for Sir Toby. Ang ano rin natin dito sa forgiveness, basically, mas maganda yung relationship natin with others. Kasi sinasabi, those who cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they themselves must pass. Sabi ni Confucius. In other words, parang pag hindi mo finorgive, sira na yung bridge. Kasi hindi ka makakatawid dun sa bridge kasi yung relationship pa.
Oo, it
Parang
affects all
kinat
your
off mo yung
relationships.
relationship or sinunog mo yung relationship. Paano ka ngayon
Burning
bridges, hindi ka ngayon makarelate.
And
Maiiwan ka mag-isa,
you
tapos
begin- yeah.
depressed ka.
when you begin to live your life this way, you begin to isolate yourself from everything.
Oo.
Because simply the nature of the world you live in, the people you live in, the forgiving nature that every person should have is really necessary for your own well-being, mindfulness, and physical wellness.
Wellness.
Ganyan yan eh. We are taught, di ba, when we're even in school early on, hindi ba, there are 4 things that we should learn. As a child, grade school, dahan-dahanin ka lang, no? It's expected that, maharot ka, your child, you like to play, yung ganyan. Any child that doesn't like to play is kind of, ba't ka maglaro? Ganun yan eh. Pero
May problema.
pagdating mo ng teenage life, iba na.
Mm-mm.
Kasi diyan, yung friendship mo, medyo tinitingnan mo long term eh. Naghahanap ka na ng sino magiging kaibigan ko eh, di ba? May ganun na yan eh. So pagdating sa eskwelahan, nagbabago yung engagement as far as our teachers are concerned, the school principal is concerned, di ba?
Siyempre, they expect
Binabantayan
more
ka
of
na,
you,
di ba?
oo.
Pero one thing that is so apparent all the time, again, alam nila magkakamali at magkakamali lahat tayo.
Mhm.
No one is perfect. So we all have to learn at such an early age to be reasoning and to be held responsible for our activities. Yun ang high school eh. Hindi ka pwedeng maging freewheeling dyan eh. Di ba? Kasi formation time yun sa buhay ng tao. So, during this time when your social interaction is very important, this is one that is emphasized. This is one thing that is so emphasized. Tapos, di ba, may yung healthy well-being mo. Kasama yun, you have to exercise, you have to do things. Di ba? Yung heart, yung body and mind, kailangan has to be healthy. Then you have to be socially healthy. But first and foremost, there has to be the spiritual growth that begins at that time. Because this is where you are making decisions. You are taught to make decisions. Now, if the decisions is based from something that is more deeper and guided from within, or you have, kumbaga your mentors show you the right path. So when you live your life, once you are an adult, the path you have taken will be a path of responsibility.
Yes.
Kaya nga, nagbabago yung strictness and molding ng high school, especially as they approach the senior year of becoming young adults. Because what we want is to be responsible individuals in our society, in our family, in our neighbor. And a lot of that will put you in a position where the qualities of humbleness, compassion, courage, and to be forgiving.
So very important yung
Fairness.
role ng mga parents, mga teachers,
Yeah.
yung mga, even sabihin
Kahit
natin,
A
sininong
support group.
nagninang, di ba?
You need to have a support group in a
Oo,
society.
kasi kailangan talaga natin na maturuan. No, we need to learn. Sabi nga ni Har, being like children, they fight and forgive and play again. So funny. But how we wish we are all the same until we grow and older. Kasi
As we grow
nakakatawa
old, we get too serious.
Hindi, it's so funny minsan, nag-aaway yung mga bata, tapos papasok yung
Naku, eto
magulang.
na, mas malaking away.
Grabe yung mga magulang. Bakit mo ginanyan yung
Mas
anak ko?
magulo.
Tapos, alis na lang yung mga bata, maglalaro na sila. Yung mga magulang nag-aaway
naku,
pa
matagal
rin,
yan,
hindi
matagal.
ba? So, it's so
Sometimes
funny.
we should learn from the children.
Oo. Tapos na yung away dun sa bata, ayun, carried over to the parents, humaba pa. As
Speaking
in.
of children, hello from Maisie, one of my grandchildren.
I
And my
see.
sister Mali.
Oo.
Hello.
And from Lakbay Buhay, meron din silang sinabi, thank you for the inspiring answer. In today's society, we should cultivate true humility. I certainly agree that meditation will help. Hope that you can discuss about this in your future talks.
Yes,
Mamaya
definitely.
yan.
Yes.
Oo.
We always
we
connect
love to
this
talk
to
about
prayer
that,
and
no?
meditation
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Okay, meron pa si hinabol si Miguel. In relation to respect, today's discussion made me remember this quote. Character is what you are and reputation is what people think of you. Okay. Oo. Nice.
Kasi ano yun it is, let's say, you lead by example.
Mm-mm.
The
Yes.
greatest things that you can actually impact other people is when you learn to live an ideal model life,
Yep.
a life
Yes.
of a model. And we all have this potential.
Mm-mm.
We all are given this potential. One of our listeners, si Lakbay Gulay nga, sinasabi niya there has to be meditation, you make this a part of your life, basically, a daily routine. There's that time of introspection and, prayer for guidance from within
Mm-mm.
and prayer for glorification.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, not just prayer for need. No,
Mm-mm.
To
prayer
glorify God.
for
Oo.
glorification.
I think when we meditate, it really helps nurture humility.
Exactly.
Kasi you are not focusing on yourself, but you're focusing on the
Your true nature, which is servant.
yes, servant.
And it's purifying.
Yes.
So kung
Yes.
yung mga anger, parang natataboy-taboy siya, hindi
Oo,
ba?
after you
Natatanggal
meditate,
siya.
cool ka lang, di ba? Chill.
Oo.
Hindi ka nagalit.
Okay, so our time is finished again. Napakabilis ng panahon
Oo
natin,
nga.
no? Always parang kulang ang panahon. Kaya na puro, kami, part 1, part 2, part 3. Ewan natin kung meron pang part 3. But it's always a pleasure
To all our listeners,
Mhm.
Yeah,
All of
please
you-
feel free to send us more
more
questions,
questions,
suggestions.
suggestions, and again, we have to also be careful that the pandemic is getting worse again in our
Oy, may
country.
Oh yes,
surge.
please
There's a
be
surge,
careful, no?
and it may become more worse. Yeah, it may get worse pa yan than last year.
Oo, it's
But
growing,
now we
growing
know
problem.
that we need to work, so we have to find the balance. And we also could see that there are many difficulties that our leadership is faced with, simply because there's a lot of limitation on their part, but also sometimes they should also see the fact that they have their own limitation and capacity, and that they should seek more guidance from others. Many of our leaders right now, they come from an armed forces branch, yung mga ganun ba? And this is a medical thing, this is a health thing. So we also have to really listen to the real experts too,
Oo.
and
Let's cooperate
cooperate
also, no?
as good as model leaders. We should be able to weigh things that would complement everybody in our society. Similarly, tayo naman as common people, we should follow the rules and regulations. Wag tayong pasaway.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, oo.
And wag natin palagi ituro kung sino yung may problema. Let's not be pointing out the problems. Let's not be part of the problem. This is a nature of a person who has that softness in his heart. I have to try to be a part of the solution all the time. If I'm angry, then I don't have that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
you
be
become a
forgiving.
problem.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice comments. Hinabol nila. Kalindi sabi, thank you. And Gilbert Pasqua, happy birthday, Sir Toby. Our heart says, thank you. Ananda says, oh no, it's over. Thank you very, very much. And Lakbay Gulay, our Saturday is not complete without Go Palakas. Sabi naman ni Adi Lila, thank you very much. Harbol, San Miguel, magandang umaga mula sa Quezon City, Metro Manila. Tapos
Okay.
meron
So,
pa
you know,
si Paul. Basta
Yeah.
na TYVM, sir and ma'am, we hope our government kaya will accept what you are offering to us. Okay. And Hahar says, love you all, Go Palakas, pray always.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the show may be over, but you can see it again on YouTube, yeah? And check us
Yes.
out at our Facebook page.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ingat.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Go Palakas.